Welcome to the SBIDER Career podcast.
With Ed Hill
and Laura Guzman.
We are discussing the career trajectories of SBIDER researchers and also those who carry out important work that enables and supports the research being conducted.
Today we discuss life as a PhD student, and our guests, Phoebe Asplin and Melissa Iacovidu, are two students from the Mathematics for Real-World Systems Center for Doctoral Training, which has the acronym MathSys, based at the University of Warwick.
Join us for this episode as we discuss what undertaking a PhD entails and find out more about the student's experience as part of MathSys. Hi Phoebe and Melissa, thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
Hi.
So perhaps starting with you Phoebe, could you just tell us when you joined the MathSys programme and the current stage of your PhD?
Yeah, so I joined last year and I'm now in my first year of my PhD after doing the master's year.
Excellent. And in terms of what you did prior to joining MathSys, what was your background?
So I did maths at Warwick. I did the Math master's course.
Brilliant, thank you. And Melissa, yourself, when did you join MathSys?
So I joined back in 2019, so I'm currently in my third year of the PhD. And previously I did an undergrad in St Andrews in Scotland. And then I did part 3 at Cambridge for a master's degree.
With having you both here, therefore, we have a spread from Phoebe, who's kind of just starting out on PhD, and then Melissa, who's a couple of years now into it. So it'll be great to hear about your experiences as we chat today. MathSys is an example of a master's PhD program that recruits and trains students in advanced quantitative skills and applied mathematical modelling techniques. These techniques are critical to addressing contemporary challenges arising from biomedicine and health, modern industry, and the digital economy.
A focus in programs like MathSys is methodological themes that are applicable in multiple research areas. These include spatial and temporal modeling and integration of complex data and mechanistic models. An application within this is mathematical epidemiology. Phoebe and Melissa, what about epidemiology and infectious disease modeling appeal to each of you?
So I always really liked applied maths, and I found that I really enjoyed having like the clear real world applications to my work, so that it really helped me stay motivated. So I felt like epidemiology really worked in that way, and it was like a really interesting topic area.
Yeah, similarly, I was always pretty keen on applied maths because of, as Phoebe said, being able to see applications in real life. I kind of got introduced to mathematical biology in my undergrad a bit randomly, really. I just chose a module and then I kind of really liked it. So then I went into, I did like a end of year project there, which was kind of cancer related. So, and after that I kind of found out about epidemiology as well.
It's cool to hear about how during like the undergraduate degree there's like just a math bio type module that piques the interest, and then it's kind of all cascades from there. I think I had a very similar experience. So there can also be multiple reasons for embarking on a PhD, which can include developing the research skills, being motivated to make an original contribution to scientific discipline, and then also just to pursue a passion. And so given your own respective interest, was there a main motivating factor for pursuing a PhD, or was there kind of a combination of reasons behind that? So perhaps Phoebe, starting with you.
As part of my master's, I did a project in epidemiology, which I really enjoyed. So I knew that that was the sort of area I wanted to go into. And then at that point, I kind of had the choice to either look at being a research assistant or go into a PhD course like the one I'm on now. And I decided that the PhD route would allow me to have a lot more flexibility in what I did. And yeah, make more choices and go for what I was really interested in. So that's why I'm here now.
Yeah, I did a small summer research project during my undergrad, which was nothing to do with epidemiology. But I quite liked the whole like research aspect of it, even though it wasn't like a long one, obviously, but I wanted to develop that further. After, obviously, I found out about math bio and epidemiology, I was pretty keen on doing a PhD on that. I feel like I find it really fulfilling doing research that actually like means something and you can see its applications.
Yeah, I think we all share that passion that brought us here. At your current stage of PhD, what are the types of tasks you conduct day to day? Have these altered as the PhD has progressed?
Most of my time is spent either coding up things for my research or reading through papers, like pre-existing research that's already been done, and see how my work lies in that field. I guess I can't really say how much it's progressed since I'm only in my first year, but Melissa can talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I agree. Initially, in the first couple of years, most of my time I was basically coding or reading papers. Now it's mostly writing. Also still kind of running code simulations. I mean, there's a reading as well, but I guess it's more on the writing part at this time of the PhD.
Kind of calling back to a previous episode where we were chatting to the director of SBIDER, Matt Keeling, and he mentioned how as he's progressed, how just writing has become more and more important part of the job, essentially. And yeah, so it's interesting within the course of a PhD how writing becomes more of a focal point as it progresses.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Both Phoebe and Melissa are part of the MathSys Centre for Doctoral Training, and Laura, yourself, you went through that program, and I went through its precursor, so it was the Complexity Science Doctoral Training Centre at that point. And as part of that, it has a master's year prior to the PhD. And so Phoebe and Melissa, could you tell us about the kind of current MathSys master's year and how that is structured?
The first half is, I guess, pretty similar to what you'd expect from a normal taught master's degree. In the first 2 terms, you do 3 different modules. And the idea is that they span a really wide range of topics in applied maths. So then it sort of sets you up to be able to go into a whole range of different things. So not just epidemiology, but also like machine learning or like opinion dynamics, all sorts of different things.
Then you have 2 research projects. One of them is a group project when some people from usually outside Warwick come and present a few projects, and then you're split into groups, and then you work on that project for a few weeks. And then you have like an individual research project at the end, so it usually takes place over the summer. And again, people will this time from within Warwick present their various projects, but usually you have like an external partner involved as well. Yeah, those 2 projects.
On reflection, what are the key lessons you have taken away from having experience of these 2 different styles of projects?
I guess for me, the biggest difference in experience between the 2 projects is that as the first one was a group project, so that meant that there was a group of 3 of us for me, and then also our supervisors, compared to just working on our own in the individual project. I feel like the main skills that I got from the group project were more towards how to work with other people, especially in a research environment. So things like how we assigned different tasks or how we use code repositories to work together on the same things. I felt like those were the skills that I got that were really valuable from the group project.
So my experience with the group project was a bit strange because our project was due to start like at the end of March 2020. So that was basically when the pandemic hit, and it was quite chaotic. I mean, it was good that you could like split up tasks into like the different people, but I feel like we weren't really familiar with the whole like meeting online thing yet. So it was mixed feelings.
You both mentioned within these projects, so you have supervisors, you might project collaborators, external partners. Then also within MathSys, there are also other activities that can help encourage interactions within and between the students. Would you be able to provide some of the examples of these activities?
So there are quite a few opportunities for us to sort of share our research with each other. I guess the main one would be the PhD cohort meeting. So every 2 weeks roughly, we'll all meet up on a Wednesday, and then 2 people will present their research. And then normally there's a lot of questions asked, and people really get to know what each other are doing. And then the other time is at our annual retreat, which is a sort of 3-day conference. And basically all of the current PhD students will either do a short talk or present a poster. So you get an idea of what everyone in the CDT is doing, and there's like lots of time for discussions with people who have similar research interests to you. So that's really valuable.
Yeah, and also in the annual retreat, there's usually other research activities which are quite fun, because we don't really see each other outside the department, so it's an opportunity to like meet everyone on a more personal level, I guess. And also we usually have some sort of Christmas party at the end of the first term. I think any excuse for a party is good. And there's other like activities. Recently we had the brownie competition. It's just people kind of make these initiatives and they stick through the years, I guess. So it's quite nice just to, have a break from work and just chill with each other.
Brownie competition, excellent. I ate way too much, but it was all fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all this experience you had as PhD students. In this time, has there been a skill set that you have developed that perhaps you weren't planning to use?
I guess for me, it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't planning on needing it, but I felt like there's been a lot more of a focus on the like scientific communication side, or like reading papers and trying to understand them, and more on the writing side than you might expect if you're thinking of a maths PhD. I think a lot of people get the impression that it's just sitting in a room doing maths all day, but there's a lot more of the like soft skills that you might think of as being more like humanities related skills, which I've had to develop.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I hadn't thought of that. Another thing that I was thinking that, I hadn't really thought about before was, for example, like networking at conferences and stuff. So yeah, whenever I would hear the word networking, I always thought of it as like a very like a business thing. But it's actually, if you go to an academic conference, that's essentially what you're doing. And I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it before.
And coming off the past couple of years where travel's been more restricted, but now in the more recent months, the opportunity for attending in-person conference scientific meetings again. Now you've had the opportunity to participate in such events. Is that something you'll be keen to continue doing during the rest of your PhD studies? And would there be particular advice you'd give to people at like Phoebe's stage early in their PhD, or like future PhD students with regards to networking and events?
I mean, as you said, in the past 2 years, there weren't really any like in-person conferences. So I did attend a couple like online, and they did try and have some sort of like mentoring aspect to them, but it wasn't that like personal because you're just meeting online. Whereas I did attend 2 conferences recently in person, and it was a totally different experience. I think the advice would be to just try and actually like talk to people, because it's really easy to just sit in a corner and just not engage with anyone. But yeah, when you go to the conferences, you should try and like just start up conversations with people. And if you know someone like from Warwick that's going with you, then it's nice to just tag along with them because they usually know other people.
That's it. It's nice when you have a kind of small contingent from the research group or from SBIDER or from MathSys that go and link up with other research groups, so then kind of hang out in the evening, etc. It's
exactly.
quite a cool environment. It's really nice. To conclude, to those who are interested in pursuing a PhD in epidemiology and or mathematical modelling, would there be any particular advice that you would give to them?
I think my advice would be to definitely try and find a more structured course like a CDT. I think it just makes it a lot easier to get started. You're sort of less just thrown into the deep end. And it means that you can sort of try out your project a bit before you fully commit to doing it for the PhD. So yeah, I think in general it just makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, more specifically with like epidemiology and mathematical modeling, I believe it's really interesting. You can see the real life impact. We're all living through like COVID now. Infectious diseases are everywhere. So clearly it impacts the everyday life of everyone essentially. So doing research in this area is just really important, so do it.
Thank you very much for sharing these thoughts and for coming and preparing for this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.